is CNN.
Votes are cast and presidential delegates are divvied up in Vermont. Busing for racial equality is ordered to the end of the line. And questions of racism enters the courtroom of the Los Angeles police trial. Welcome to Newsnight Update. I'm Leon Harris at the CNN Center in Atlanta. Jurors in the videotaped beating case of Rodney King now have a new issue to consider: racism. King is black. The 4 officers charged with beating him are white. Officer Lawrence Powell allegedly struck King 45 times. Powell said he acted because he was in fear of his life, but prosecutors were allowed by the judge to question Powell Tuesday about computer messages he exchanged with other officers.
And this conversation we're about to talk about now also received quite a bit of coverage in the newspapers, didn't it?
Which conversation?
The one you just looked at.
Yes, it did.
All right. So you remember this conversation, don't you?
I remember the conversation, yes.
All right. And you replied to her, "Sounds almost as exciting as our last call. It was right out of Gorillas in the Mist." And that's what you typed into her, isn't it?
Yes.
And she typed back, "Ha ha ha ha. Let me guess who be the parties." You remember that, don't you?
Yes.
And then you typed in a message to her about trying to get through the night and that you were off for 6 days and it was time for some serious bike riding. Then you typed in, "Good guess," didn't you?
I believe so.
Now this incident that you're referring to, this last call right out of Gorillas in the Mist, it involved a family of African Americans, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Right. And in your description of these individuals, you called them gorillas, didn't you?
No.
Okay. Now this call that involved these African Americans, was it in a jungle?
In a what?
A jungle.
No.
Was it at the zoo?
No.
Were there any gorillas around?
I didn't see any.
This is a movie, Gorillas in the Mist, is that correct?
Yes.
Was there any wildlife around at all during this call?
Not that I saw.
Other than just these individuals who were African Americans, is that correct?
No, I wouldn't call them wildlife.
But you referred to that call as right out of Gorillas in the Mist.
Yes.
There were no gorillas there, were there?
No, I didn't see any.
Was that movie playing on their TV when you were there?
I didn't go inside their house.
Did you see anything regarding Gorillas in the Mist while you were at that location?
Did I see anything?
Yes.
No.
But you described that call to Karina Smith as being right out of Gorillas in the Mist.
Yes, I did.
And she said, "Let me guess who be the parties." And you said, "Good guess." Does "let me guess who be the parties," does that mean anything to you?
What do you mean by mean anything?
Well, is that the way a particular ethnic group, would that be the way they talk?
Particular ethnic group?
Yes.
None that I'm aware of.
Let's say, for example, African Americans, do they talk like that? Who be the parties? Would that be something African Americans might say?
None that I've met.
But you replied back, "Good guess."
Yes.
She said, "Let me guess who be the parties," and you said, "Good guess." So you knew what she was referring to, didn't you?
I assumed what she was referring to.
And
I
you
made an
assumed what
assumption.
she was referring to when she said, "Who be the parties?" You assumed that certain ethnic groups or African Americans talk that way, don't you?
No, that's not true.
But you said, "Good guess."
That's what I typed back, yes.
And again, you would call that particular conversation an essential conversation.
To me, I believe it's essential.
Essential communication sanctioned by the Los Angeles Police Department.
I doubt it'd be sanctioned by the LAPD.
LAPD probably would say that's an appropriate way to use the MDT. Officer Powell, you used excessive force when you beat Rodney King, didn't you?
No, sir.
Officer Powell, you used inappropriate conduct in that incident with Rodney King, didn't you?
No, sir.
Why did you tell Karina Smith, I haven't beaten anyone this bad in a long time? Why did you use the word beaten?
That's a common police jargon when you talk from policeman to policeman, kind of a professional jargon.
Professional jargon?
Yeah.
So you go up to someone and say, how many people did you beat today?
I don't do that, no.
But you did it here.
No, I didn't do that.
Well, you used the word beaten.
Yes, I did use the word beaten.
Well, beat and beaten, the same thing, isn't it?
What do you mean, the same thing?
Same word.
No, form of the same word, sure.
And that's professional police jargon in your mind.
No, it's jargon used in the police profession.
And it's appropriate.
In whose standpoint? In mine, it is.
So when you use the word beaten, you mean I used appropriate force.
Yes.
I used reasonable and necessary force.
Yes.
I beat the heck out of him, but that implies I used reasonable and necessary force.
Objection.
Say the question again.
If you tell someone, I beat the heck out of that guy, that means you used reasonable and necessary force.
No.
No, not in the context that I just used it. Is
That's
that
right.
correct? That's because I'm not a policeman.
No, you're not.
Okay, and I don't use the term the same way you would as a policeman.
Well, I can't speculate on what you use the term for.
Right. If I was a policeman and I said I beat the heck out of that guy, you would say that means I used reasonable, necessary force.
No, I wouldn't say that.
If you heard me say I beat the heck out of that guy, you would say he must have used excessive force, wouldn't you?
You talking if I hear you say that?
Yeah.
No.
You've just been watching an excerpt of the Rodney King beating trial as one of the 4 officers on trial was questioned about allegedly racist computer messages transmitted after the incident. And another videotaped incident may be heading for court. It happened last July when a Santa Cruz County Sheriff's deputy was questioning a tourist about a child molestation allegation. The officer says George Nichols turned belligerent. Authorities say that made use of the baton appropriate during the arrest. Nichols had been misidentified on the child abuse case. Charges against him of resisting arrest and assault on an officer were later dropped. But Nichols says he's suing for $15 million. Well, the momentum is rolling for Jerry Brown, and we'll have that story when we return. And we'll tell you how presidential perks are coming under fire on Capitol Hill. And Mike Tyson hears from an appeals court on whether he can leave prison.
Critics are falling for the cutting edge. It's romantic, exciting, and emotionally powerful. Something to rave about. I didn't want it to end.
Well, you see how we act together.
You're falling for flowers?
In case you missed it, I'm throwing myself at you.
2 medal-winning performances in a go-for-the-gold love story that will melt your heart.
Somewhere in the middle of all this, I fell in love with you.
The Cutting Edge, rated PG. Now playing at a theater near you.
Here's important information about a product we hope you never have to use. Mace. Now you can have the same sense of security that many people find with Mace, because the original formula used by police and the military is now legally available to you. Mace shoots a powerful stream up to 12 feet. Any upper body contact causes profuse tearing and a painful burning sensation. Just one spray can instantly stop an assailant for up to 20 minutes. Unfortunately, personal safety is a serious concern today, but you don't have to feel defenseless. You can keep Mace in your car, within reach at home. Take it with you jogging, or carry it in your pocket or purse. For an added sense of security, shouldn't you carry Mace? Just in case.
To order Mace, call 1-800-441-4646. Order 1 for $19.95 or 3 for $16.95 for each unit.
On CNN tomorrow, campaign hopefuls hit New York, the city that can hit back, on Cryer and Company. Then on NewsHour, her husband's killer only served 1 month in jail. Her fight to find out why. All tomorrow on CNN.
For the second week in a row, Jerry Brown has beaten Bill Clinton. Last week it was in Connecticut. Now it's in the caucuses in Vermont. With 94% of the precincts reporting Tuesday, Brown garnered 46% of the vote. Clinton took a hit. More people voted for uncommitted than voted for him. Clinton got 17% of the vote, while uncommitted accounted for 25% of the vote. Brown celebrated in New York, where he's campaigning for next week's primary in the Empire State.
I hope it's going to give a little push forward, because we're up against a very tough competitor, and this is the political establishment, the hierarchy, the money, the $1,000 checks, and while we've got some momentum, we've got a long way to go. It's a very tall mountain that I'm climbing.
Clinton said Brown's style of appealing to the anger of voters works well in the caucuses. On Capitol Hill, the Democrats in the House tried to examine some of the so-called perks at the Republican White House. The Bush administration didn't send anyone to the congressional hearing, but that didn't stop the political fighting. CNN's Jamie McIntyre reports.
Question: if it costs $50,000 an hour to fly Air Force One, how come the line item for presidential travel in the latest budget totals only $29,000 for an entire year? Democrats say they know the money comes from someplace else, but where?
When we examined the White House, we found no existence